All right, hello everyone, and welcome to my first Q&A with the City of Gilroy Council candidate, Zach Hilton. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Gannon Janisch. I'm a community member from Gilroy. I've been actively involved as a participant in city programs. I've grown up to volunteer for these programs and eventually actually work for the city, so I've grown up in Gilroy all of my life. Today during the Q&A, we'll be focusing on the youth of Gilroy. November of 2020 will be many teenagers' first time voting, including myself, and it's important to hear their voices, for we are the future of the world. So that is why majority of the questions that I have for Zach today have been sent in by teenagers who do reside in Gilroy. Some who vote this year and some who are not old enough to vote, yet they're still wanting to get involved into their local government, and they see the importance of that, so they also sent some questions in. So without further ado, we're going to bring on City of Gilroy candidate, Mr. Zach Hilton, onto the live. So let me go ahead and send that request to Zach. Perfect. Hello, Zach. Can you hear me?
Yeah. What's up, Gannon? How are you?
Wonderful. Good. How are you?
Good.
Good. All right. Oh, and by the way, congratulations on your anniversary the other day. For those of you who didn't know, Zach yesterday had his 13th, I believe, anniversary with his wife, Kate, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So before we do jump into these questions, we did want to let people know that if you are wondering how and where to register to vote, because that is going to be one of the topics we do talk about today, where we are talking about the youth. So if you want to know where to and how to register to vote, you can contact either Zach or myself after this live stream, and we can send you the link to where you can find steps, directions, and actually where you can register to vote. So just keep that in mind. And then before you joined us, Zach, and I'm sure you've already you heard me mention this, but the majority of the questions I have for you were submitted by the youth because, you know, they are interested in the future of Gilroy and stuff. So just thought I'd let you know with that stuff. All right. Are you ready to go?
Let's do this.
Perfect. All right. So we'll start off with a super easy one. The first question sent in is just tell us about yourself. Who are you? Did you grow up in Gilroy? If not, how did you end up in Gilroy? And were you interested in your local town's government when you were a teen?
So first of all, thanks for having me, Gannon. And so a little bit about me. I'm a firefighter, paramedic in the city of Oakland. That's where I've been for the last 20 years. And I grew up in Berkeley. And I have been a registered voter since I was the age of 18. So just like you, I was taught at a very young age to be politically active, be a part of community, vote. Wherever I've ended up at apartments or other people's, you know, shacking up with other friends in homes, I always made sure I transferred my registered voter to go along with me. So I didn't grow up in Gilroy, but what brought me here is my wife. The two of us met when we were young and in our 20s. And when she's a couple years younger than me, and when her generation started moving back home to Gilroy and all her friends were here, we found out that this is a place where we wanted to raise our children. So we have one child. Her name is Avery, and she's 9 years old. She goes to Gilroy Public Schools here. And so we moved back home here about 7 years ago. So in my household, not only is there a second generation Gilroy, but a third as well. And for me, I've always been involved in politics. I was always involved locally in Berkeley, and have been pretty much ever since I moved here to Gilroy.
All right, awesome, cool. And I think I actually have, whoops, I accidentally turned my camera around. I think I actually have, yep. So this is actually Zach, his wife, and his little girl, Avery.
Definitely.
There. Perfect. Awesome. So the second question that was submitted is another pretty straightforward. So why are you running for city council, and why are you interested in being a council for the city of Gilroy?
So I'm really interested, I want to make Gilroy livable for all. And that's why this is an important conversation between me and you right now. In the bike advocacy world, which I sort of live in right now, being on the City of Gilroy's Bicycle Pedestrian Commission, it's all about making things available and reaching out to those from the age of 8 to 80. It's a big, wide range. And for me, that's where that slogan that I come up with, Gilroy Livable for All, really came from. I've seen a lot of missed opportunities in the position that I've been in as chair of the Bike Ped Commission. And oftentimes those decisions need to be made when you're sitting at the city council seat. So I would say that a lot of times people say, like, how are you going to build a campaign and how are you going to get your name out? I feel like the last 4 years I've been campaigning for this moment, really to be on the city council.
Awesome. I love that answer for making Gilroy livable for all people and all ages. It's super awesome. All right, so our third question sent in was, being that my peers and myself are first-time voters, why is voting so important? Why should the youth, including non-voters, care/participate in voting/politics?
You know what? When I was 18, I paid attention more to national level politics when it came to the president. Because for me, as a kid, that just sort of seemed more important. There was more news coverage about it. It was harder to find what's going on locally. But when you think about it, it's so important to vote here in your own city for your own elected officials because it affects way more than you think. Paying attention on the national level has its impact, but those that are making the decisions about how you live your life, whether that's how streets are paved and are they making it complete streets and available for people to be able to walk and bike around, whether it's making decisions on whether there should be recreation programs. You're a direct recipient of the wonderful recreation programs here. Those decisions affect your life more than you think, even at the age of 16 and 17 and 18 when you're coming into it. And when I was 18, I found it hard to be involved in politics. You had to go either read a newspaper or find a trusted source. This right here, the medium that we are using today, is a direct line, a direct seat. And for me, I will carry your voice into that seat. That's something that is pretty unique that for me I didn't get when I was your age about to vote.
Yeah. Awesome. That's super cool. And I totally agree with that idea of, us using this platform, it's a different way of pushing forward, ideas and stuff and connecting to politics much easier, especially for kids our age. So that's super cool. All right. So question 4 that was sent in, how do we as youth understand candidates and what they stand for? Whether it be their political agenda, opinions on certain issues, etc. How do we learn about candidates in general?
So the easiest way to learn about a candidate is to go look at their website. So for me, it's www.zachhilton.com. You can find it in my bio as well. That is I would say the most up-to-date way. You can look at people's endorsements, who are people that are supporting that candidate, organizations that support that candidate, and on that website, they will talk about their issues. They'll have usually links to their social media. I would say that you could trust social media and what they say and comment, but realistically, if you want to get down to the bread and butter of what that campaign and that person's about, it's all about the website. You will see mailers coming in. No matter where you live, registered voters will be getting mailers from local city council, the mayor, and they'll also be getting them from state and federal, candidates. But I would say the best is a website, and on there too, you'll get their phone number and you'll get their social media, and that's really, for me personally, that's easy for me to message back and forth through Facebook or Instagram.
Awesome, cool. Before we hop into this next question, for our viewers, if you see that photo at the top right of my screen, if you do have a question for Zach, all you have to do is press that little question icon below your screen, type in your question, and we can throw it up there at the end of our live if we have time, and we can go over the questions from there. So those are for all of our viewers out there. All right, so perfect. Question 5 that was sent in is, the youth needs to go out to spend time with family and friends, but there's only so much in Gilroy. Downtown Gilroy is a great place to do that, but unfortunately, downtown has a lack of progress and variety. Downtown concerts in the summer are a great way to bring crowds, but it's not a permanent event. What are your ideas to promote permanent downtown growth and make it a more social area for all ages to spend time in?
So that's a great question, and I agree with you. As someone that grew up in an area that there was something happening every single weekend, for us to be involved, whether it's our riding our bikes to a downtown central, plaza, that's huge. there's no reason. We have the best weather in the Bay Area here in Gilroy. There's no reason why we couldn't have, something maybe not as large scale. It takes a lot of work to close down between 4th and 6th to do the downtown live series, but that doesn't mean that we couldn't close down 5th Street, from Eagleberry to Monterey, and have that as more of a plaza, a place to gather. That ideas like that, it's easy for a city council member to say something like that, but you really need the support of the business as well, and the support of your community. If there's a youth group or there's an advocacy group that won't stop talking about closing down 5th Street, I want you to close it down every Sunday, or I want you to close down this stretch of roadway, just so we can walk and bike there, and just come hang out, bring chairs, listen to music, and eat. But one thing I can say is that with COVID-19 happening right now, a lot of communities are looking at their streets different. And one of the things that we can do easily that I really wanted the city government to do here was to create kind of like a slow streets program. So if your street has, let's say it's designated as 25 miles per hour, you could actually shut that roadway down. Most residential streets are not for through traffic. You're not going to break any traffic. It allows people to get out into the center of the road and do whatever you feel like doing. But you know what? We have a huge opportunity at the Gilroy Sports Park to expand that, and at Gilroy Gardens to expand that. I'm not sure if you or anybody knows, but there's a proposal for a hillside adventure park, behind Gilroy Gardens. Gilroy Gardens is not really theme park for the teenagers. That's not what it is.
Yes, true that.
But there's so many more opportunities that we can create, and whether that's putting that together and trying to get a consensus on council to do that. Imagine a bike park for people to go to and hang out down at the sports park. And imagine if we had something all the way at the top where you could get on the bike ped trail and go to the top at Gilroy Gardens and have another type of venue that's open.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that idea of kind of like a pop-up, little area in the residential areas for people to come together in like a central area to enjoy, music and different things within the city. That's a super cool idea. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, question 6 that was sent in: climate change is a huge issue in today's world that affects all people, and change needs to happen. But change needs to start all over, including local government. How do you plan to keep Gilroy as clean and energy efficient as possible?
So we're lucky. We have a pretty aggressive state legislation that years ago had the Senate bill, and you can look it up. It's called SB 743. It's all about how we look at building projects. So if I want to build a project at the Gilroy Sports Park, I have to go through an environmental, it's called CEQA. When I do the environmental process, I look at everything from how are people going to get there to traffic impact, climate impact, and then also hazards to the environment like streams and such like that. They used to always look about projects of how fast can a car get there. So for me and you living in the center of town, and they build something out at Gilroy Gardens, it would say, how quickly can Gannon and Zach get in a car and drive there? And for some reason, I don't know why, but around between the 70s and the late 90s, that's how everything was dealt with. And look where we are now. High greenhouse gas emissions. Yeah. People just in their cars by themselves driving to San Jose when they could literally pick up 4 or 5 other people with them. All that state bill law forces us to look at how are we going to get people, how are we going to reduce the vehicle miles traveled. So what you'll start seeing is different larger projects and commercial places and residential will slowly start saying, no, it's not about the car anymore. It's about how you're going to walk here, how you're going to ride your bike here, and how you're going to take transit here. And for me as a kid growing up in Berkeley, that's the only way I could get around. I was never driven anywhere, didn't have my own car, either bike, bus, or walk. And slowly those policies are starting to come back. I have been a voice for that in the city of Gilroy during our Bike and Ped Commission meetings. And I will be that voice to call that out, sitting on the city council as well.
Awesome, and I like that idea of that biking. I know you're a huge advocate for the whole biking program and setting up different programs in that sort of realm and stuff. And like you said, you're part of different organizations that work with that. So that's a super cool pair that, that's super important. All right, so before we hop into this next question, again, just a reminder for people, for those of you who are wondering how to vote and where to vote, again, we do want to remind you that after this live, you can either contact Zach or myself, and we can send you the link to find directions and actually place to register vote. And actually, if you're 16 and 17, you can pre-register to vote. So that's that whole options there as well. And then another reminder, if you do have a question, go at the bottom icon with the little question mark, and you can submit a question. We do have some questions already, but we'll get to those at the end of the live. And so you can just submit your questions, and we'll get to them if we do have some time. All right, perfect. Question 7 that was sent in. Being that you have a daughter that has been actively involved with Gilroy Recreation, we can assume you have a more detailed view of Gilroy Recreation. With the recent budget cuts that have hit the Recreation Department hard, the youth want to know, why do you think recreation is so important, and how do you plan to promote this new division of Gilroy government?
Recreation is very important. And for me, my platform is all about, number 1, taking care of the residents here and taking care of our employees. Number 2 comes services, and number 3 comes infrastructure. So when I'm looking at something coming my way and we have to deal with budget cuts, that's exactly what I take in mind first. And you're right, my daughter has been a part of the rec programs here for a long time, many years, doing different things from theater all the way to soccer. And you know what? I would say that the single most biggest thing is that whatever program you enjoyed and you used and for the recreation, you really need to gather up all the people that are advocates to bring that back, and you need to be a constant voice and pain in the butt to make sure that that comes back, because I have seen programs, BMX being one of them, where I joined the commission and everybody said, we're supposed to have this BMX part of the sports park. They went and bought Gilroy Gardens, and then they never came back to us. That is what will happen, because city council members will leave, planning commissioners, other commissioners will end up leaving, and you'll be left with a different administration. So everybody that's out there that wants those recreation programs, including myself, we need to fight for them. We need to come back. But one of the things is that it's going to have to come back different. It has to come back where it's more funded off grants. It might be more funded where those that can afford it will pay the full price of it, and those that can't, the community that's more at risk, the at-risk youth and the seniors, we will always take care of them, and I promise to always take care of them.
Awesome. I love that answer. Super cool, especially about that low-income and at-risk community. That's a super important thing that needs to be addressed and stuff. So that's super cool. All right. So our next question that was sent in is, during COVID and as the situation changes, would you try to make job opportunities available for teenagers through the city during these times? And will students assisting their families economically be given priority to those jobs?
Wait, say that last part again.
And will you students assisting their families economically be given priority to those jobs?
And we're talking about city jobs or jobs within the city?
Jobs like within the city government, different departments within.
I get it. Yeah. So exactly. You'll have like your seasonal workers, like those that are helping for whether like aquatics and that kind of stuff. Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. And and I know that they were a big, huge seasonal job opportunity. And that is one thing I'm afraid of, is that if we decide to contract completely out, those students that were used to it or were ready for it, like this summer, to have jobs, and those where they will continue to hire the youth in the city. And especially, I totally agree with you. I never even looked at it like that way, especially us, the city government, hiring students that actually contribute into their families' accounts. And household. I never thought of it that way. But that I'm a union strong person. IAFF, International Association of Firefighters. So I'm all about union and taking care of the working families. And one of the things that I've promised in endorsements that I've done with unions so far is that when it comes to contracting work and contracting out, I'm not for it. I highly am in favor of hiring local. And especially seasonal youth. Definitely.
Yeah. I know when I was talking with the person who submitted that question, it was that's super important that the students assisting their family economically. That's an important thing, and I totally agree with that. And when they sent that to me, I told him it was a super good question because it's not really, like you said yourself, you didn't think of it that way, and I didn't either when they sent the question. It's a super cool, or different, I should say, aspect to look at jobs within a city. So I love that question. And
one other quick thing too, besides the city part, I mean, the Gilroy Gardens it's owned and operated by a private company, but at the same time, the city of Gilroy is the one that owns it. And that's one of our huge employers of the youth here in our community. And that's something that we're going to have to think really hard on of what's going to happen, because right now they're not open. The tourism industry has been hit really hard. So there's a lot of questions about, is Gilroy Gardens going to be feasible? What if they're not feasible? What's going to happen? We can't just take over liability of an entire park. Can we make it bigger? Can we develop something where it attracts tourism that's already dedicated for that space out there, but yet hire our own youth that live within the community so that we can still have that employment opportunity?
Yeah, awesome, cool. All right, question number 9 that was sent in. How do you plan on involving youth in the decision-making process within the city outside of the Youth Commission? Meaning for youth who are not part of the Youth Commission, how do you plan on involving them in the decisions of their city?
So, I don't know if anybody's seen me before. I'm on Instagram, but this is the first time that me and you are connecting. And you know what? I promise that your voice I will bring it to the council seat. I can't do that alone, though. I can't constantly be checking in and making sure that people are involved. What I can do is you could sign up. You could follow me on Instagram. You could follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter. My website will stay up and live. I'm not planning on completely hiding away when I get elected in November. And one thing I want to do is to bring more transparency and bring it to you is I want to keep our city government meetings streaming online in some fashion. So that way, if you are working, you're going to school, you're taking classes at Gavilan during public comment time, that your voice can still be heard, whether that's through email or jumping out of class really quick and jumping on into public comment. I want you to come seek me, find out, sign up for my newsletters. I promise to keep that interaction, but I can't, and I will always be seeking it. I will always be on Instagram. I can do Instagram lives. I'm totally down to do that anytime to keep everybody activated. But at the same time, you got to ask me questions, and so you got to keep me engaged as well.
Yeah, that's super important. And like I said earlier, that social media and especially Instagram, it's a super cool way to connect with the youth nowadays and stuff. And I know that people probably can see his Instagram handle right now, but I believe it's @Hilton_CA, correct?
Yep.
Perfect. And I know, being that I follow that account, Zach does keep up with different posts, and he always keeps in contact with people, and it's super cool. I guess he's super good about outreaching to people and communicating with that. So that's a super cool way for people to keep in touch. Awesome. Okay, so question 10 that was sent in. It's kind of a fun question, but still relating to, the city overall. But if you were given $1 million grant to use for the city any way you wanted, what would you do with it and why?
Oh, man. $1 million.
Yes, I know. $1 million question. There you go.
Okay, so what do we get to spend it on? I mean, are we talking about like a project?
I assume so. That's the specification. If to use for the city any way you wanted. Yeah.
That is so tough because I have seen so many places to drop it. All right, here's what I'll do. I'll throw this out. Let's find a place in downtown. Okay, somewhere between 1st and 10th. All right. Mainly a lot of the foot traffic is coming from maybe 1st to 6th and 7th right now. Let's find an empty lot that's down there, or if we can get closer to the center, like maybe around like 5th or 6th, let's find a building that wants to sell, and you know what? Let's tear it down. Let's tear it down and let's build a beautiful plaza where everybody can come and join us. And the reason why I'm picking downtown for something like that, it doesn't mean that doesn't exist in pockets everywhere else. Like you got a place on the top of First Street coming in called the Patio, right next to West Side Grill. That's going to be a great place to hang out.
Yeah.
But you know what? Downtown will always have a transit line running through it. It's got a lot of high density residential. It's got Caltrain. You have some good restaurants. You have one of our only brewery downtown.
Yeah.
Let's create a plaza, and we can do that for $1 million because we can do that not only for $1 million but we can also GoFundMe. A lot of people want to make that place nice.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Awesome. I like that pair with the downtown and all that, putting that money towards that. So like that answer. Really like that answer. All right. So the next question that was sent in is: small businesses are important pieces of the development of cities in today's world. How would you promote local businesses in Gilroy?
So for me, I want to streamline business process. I want to make it really fast and really efficient for anybody to open up a small business. Whether that's you're going to be moving into an existing building and the use is exactly the same, or whether you're going to take an abandoned building and you're going to gut it and you're going to make it into what you want to make it into. I think that the city council, when I get elected, I want to establish a list of what they're called objective standards. And so what it is you're taking the subjectivity completely out of the process. So when we have certain things that we want to see in a business on the outside, on the inside, whatever, there's building codes you have to follow. As long as nothing violates health and fire safety, as an applicant turning in my small business permit and my arc and site for the place, I want it to be, as long as I do everything that's been asked for when I turn it in, it should be deemed complete upon submittal. That means that the city has 30 days to go look at it and say, hey, you know what, there's fire problem back here. You got to change this around. It's been a long time since somebody's in there. If you get all that finished by 30 days, you can open. You can start having jobs. You can start paying your rent. Unless you own the building, you're paying your mortgage. No matter what, you're paying out something as a business owner.
Yeah.
But you get moving. None of this back and forth. None of this, I'll call you next week.
Yeah,
or I always use the example, but it's like, I need you to move the gutter over just 2 feet.
Yeah.
And it can't look like that and then preventing somebody from opening. That whole entire process needs to go away.
Yeah. I like that idea of working with, different businesses and actually working with them and communicating with them on different things. And I know I've been talking about that with actually my family, personally, how we could apply that to downtown, working with those businesses to try to, work on some stuff and promote different developments within downtown. So yeah, that's super cool.
And you know what, when you create documents like that, that's easy to share it, right? Yeah. So like for myself, if I end up going to, conferences, trade shows, other community meetings, you meet business people all the time. I've met a lot of them just by hanging out in downtown. You give them that website, you send them that link, and you say, no, we are open for business. If you meet any troubles with it, you let me know. But you project that you want economic, development. And right now, we need economic recovery. We need that like solely right now. So the more we can project that, the better.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so that's a majority of our sent-in questions, but we do have questions that people have been commenting on Instagram. So before we get into those, again, remember you can submit questions as we're going through this live. You just go down at the question mark icon and go ahead and type your question in, and then I can go through them and throw them up. So let's start with a few of these. Okay, here's a little fun one we can start with. Favorite thing about Gilroy?
Favorite thing about Gilroy? I love that I can, I'm a bike rider, okay? I race bikes, ride bikes. I love the fact that I can leave my garage and within 5 minutes, I'm out into the country. We are so close to green space all around us. And, we're lucky. Most of us can walk outside our house and look around somewhere 360 and we see green hills. We don't see dry, grassy hills. We see green hills. And for me, seeing the trees and being in nature that fast, one of my favorite things from living here.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Especially, I went to school over the hills, so driving through Hecker Pass, and there's great pull-out spots on the Watsonville Road and in different areas like that. It's a super cool place to go and just to go take a ride and stuff. And I know I usually go for bike rides up on the levee and go there all the time. So super awesome areas for that. So I totally agree with you on that. All right. Another question. From a health perspective, what will you do to address the issue of obesity in Gilroy?
So this kind of ties back into what we were talking about with SB 743, right? The way that we look and the way we approve projects, and not just the way we approve it, but once we approve it, the way we encourage those business owners and the employees and the residents to access that place by bike and ped. Okay. Another thing that we work on right now that our commission has actually really been a champion for in our city is working with the Healthy Cities, which is a subsidy of Santa Clara County Public Health. So they look at things like obesity. They look at things like tobacco prevention. And we have safe routes to school programs that are in the school. I believe the lunches in most of the elementary schools, the kids are taught to take, what the difference between good food, bad food. But there is a lot being done behind the scenes that has to do with that. But for me, it's the car dependency, not relying on the car to get around town, encouraging more people to bike and walk by having good infrastructure. You can't tell somebody like, "Oh, just go right down First Street, it's fine." It's like, no, it's scary, and no one's going to do it unless there's good infrastructure.
Yeah. All right. So another question sent in. Let's see. Here we go. How would you go about reopening Gilroy in the face of the coronavirus pandemic?
Reopening all of Gilroy?
I'm not sure, but
you know what? I'm all for the outdoor spaces. If we need to have policies and encourage our businesses to move from inside to outside. I already know that the city council had a proposal well over like 30 days ago to help the purchase of tables and chairs to move into the outdoor spaces. If we're not able to get a vaccine anytime soon, the way to open is to wear a mask. Okay, wear a mask in your public. That's super important. As a firefighter paramedic for 20 years. I can tell you, it counts. It means something. But move everything take over that space in the roadway that has always been dedicated to cars. I think that would be one of my ways to open up, because we need sales tax money. That's how cities thrive. That's how we pay city employees. That's how we pave roads. We need to support our businesses, and if that means that we take over, roads and stuff like that to start supporting our businesses, I'm all for that. And hopefully that answered the question. If it didn't, message me. We'll talk.
Okay, here's a question. I don't know if I can see that entire comment or that question. Unfortunately, I can't see that entire question. So, AJH97470, if you can post your question again, but just not include that first part. I'll read that first part, and then the question. Go ahead and send that again, and then we can go over that.
That's cool. I don't know if I can speak too much about it because I've never heard of that. I don't know whether that's like for city employees or like a minimum wage type thing that Stockton's doing. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, I'd be interested though, like to hear more about that. What that was.
Okay. So the person who submitted the question about availability for jobs within the government for teens, I'm not sure if they were logged on when you spoke about that. So they're just asking if you could maybe speak about, just quickly go over that again, what opportunities are available for students looking into working in local government, and then the priority for students assisting families economically.
So, you know what? I'm glad we had this conversation because just like you said on that last part, those students that need jobs to support their families economically, that's huge. I don't know if human resources would legally be able to prevent one person from getting a job versus getting the other one, but I do know, and sometimes in competitive bid processes, like local companies can get an extra 5 or 10 points because they're local. So whether that means you could move somebody up in the line because they can't show a financial hardship, like I need this job. But right now, unfortunately, one of the biggest jobs for employment in summertime was like working at the aquatics program, and being not just on the volunteer basis, but all the workers that help put parks and recreation together. I'm not sure if there's much opportunity in other areas. I do know that sometimes they hire interns, but from what I've seen, and when public works hires interns, are usually college kids that are gaining experience and want to get into city government. But like I said before too, I am all for hiring the youth and showing them inside government and showing them what it's like that. Oftentimes, when you contract out programs and departments, you don't have as much local control. A lot of times they'll have people coming from other areas. If we can employ the youth and those especially that don't drive and they can walk or take their bike and show up there to work, I'm all in for supporting that. But unfortunately, right now it's a skeleton crew running City Hall right now.
Yeah. Okay, can you actually maybe talk about, in the realm of that, in the same realm of this question, how about opportunities for students who want to do work with the city council or government internships? You kind of spoke about that in general, but maybe working more specifically with the council and doing those types of internships with the city?
So you mentioned before the youth commission. You have to be 18 years old to be on. I don't know. Do you have to be 18 or older to be on the other ones? That's a good question.
I'm not sure. I know the max is 19, but I'm not sure what the minimum age is.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. But the youth commission is one opportunity. To be close and involved with city government and to be able to sort of feel what it's like to craft an agenda, have to take minutes. But you know what? There's nothing stopping if Gannon, if you wanted to have an internship with my office as a city council member, you have a position.
All right.
I do not mind. There's been so many people that have given me the opportunity to have a seat at the table and to watch processes and to figure things out. Obviously, I don't have a budget. I don't have a staff where I can pay people. But I'm telling you, you will gain experience that will help you. It'll help you in resumes. It'll help you down the line applying to college. It'll help you. Your first job to be able to say, you worked as an intern for the office of a city council member. This is a tough job because it doesn't pay full time to be on city council. It's not meant to be like that at all. It's you either have to be retired and living off of income, of some kind. So it really relies on members of the community to come in and help out. And oftentimes that means, not coming up with just problems, but coming up with solutions and solutions that worked in other areas. Like the question before about the income in Stockton. If that's something that works out there, then you bring it to the table and let's get a good discussion going on about it, and then let's put it on the agenda.
Yeah. So there's a really good question on here, but I'm not able to throw it up, so I'll just read it to you. It's an interesting question. So the question is, how do you think the qualities and skills you have earned from being a firefighter, how do you think those will help you being a council member?
They'll help me with confidence, okay? Making decisions under pressure. Focusing on working families. Focusing on the at-risk community, those that need it the most. Making tough decisions, but be able to make a risky decision and stick with it, okay? Go with it. As a firefighter and a paramedic, I don't make decisions and going, oh, I hope that works. Okay, I make solid choices and solid decisions based on protocols. And when it comes to being on the city council, I'm willing to work with everybody. That's why I said Gilroy livable for all. But I will never lose sight of my constituents, which are the people that voted for me, and the core values that I belong to. And it's going to take someone with confidence, but it's also going to take someone who's a good listener. And I think I'm a good listener, and I'll continue to do stuff like this to be a good listener, but also empower you, okay? Awesome. And let you know that the decisions I make that I know they affect you, but I need to hear that from you. And all your elected officials need to hear from you, especially your generation.
Yeah, that's super cool. And so that's a great segue into what I was going to say next. For those of you, and I said this a little bit earlier, you can follow Zach on Instagram at ZachHilton_CA. Like I said, he posts lots of stuff to keep up with his campaign and stuff, and it's a super good way to reach out to Zach and keep in contact with him. And so that's a good way for the youth and anyone else who wants to follow Zach to keep up with him. Before we move on to what we're going to do next, again, we just wanted to remind you, for those of you who are wondering where and how to register to vote, you can contact Zach or myself after this live, and we will send you the link where you can register, and you can learn about how to register in that whole process, and for 16 and 17-year-olds, how you can pre-register and what that entails for you. All right, so I think that is all the questions for people who have submitted on the live stream. So we are going to move on to a quick game/segment that I have for you. Being that we are focusing on the youth here and the different people who are interacting with the youth and who work with the youth or the youth in general for this live stream, our game is called Flashback to Youthful Zach.
What?
And I actually got a little help from someone yesterday to discover this gem right here. So this right here, I don't know if people can see that. That is Zach. Actually, I don't know how old you are in that picture. Zach, how old are you in that picture?
Oh, I'm let's see, I think that was junior prom. So right. Somewhere between 16 and 17. Oh my gosh.
Perfect. So that's brought to you by your wife, Kate. So perfect.
Oh, thank you, babe.
All right. So that is Zach when he was 16 or 17. So we are going to play a game. Basically, I'm going to ask you a question that would relate to you when you were 16 or 17.
All right.
When this photo was taken, and you can just give your answer. It's some of them are fun, some of them are more targeted towards political stuff. But all right. So our first question is, what high school did you go to?
Berkeley High Public School.
All right. What was the mascot?
It was a yellow jacket.
Oh, okay, all right.
I might even have a beanie. Nope, I don't have it. I used to have a... Hey, hold on a second. Watch this. And here, this everybody will be able to guess how old I am. That's the year I graduated. It's backwards, 95.
Yeah. All right, nice.
Look at that, school colors.
There you go. Did you play any sports in high school?
I did. I was a baseball player.
All right. Did you play any instruments in high school?
I played a saxophone in middle school, and I played it all the way till I really started playing baseball.
Oh, all right. Awesome.
Yeah.
I love the saxophone. I know you probably talked about this a little earlier, and I think you did. You said you didn't have one, but what was your first car? Did you drive a car around this age?
I did. My first car was a Volvo.
Oh,
a 1984 baby blue Volvo. And you know what? I had to share it with my little brothers too, because they were toddlers at the time. There's a big gap between me and my little brothers. Yes. And the babysitter needed to be able to take them around. So, how cool is that, right? To roll pick up one of your friends, you're like, oh, don't worry about the 2 car seats in the back.
There you go. What year did you first vote?
So let's see. I voted in 1995.
Right.
1996, actually. 1996, I think, was the first one.
Okay, so that's when you turned 18.
Yep.
All right. What current affairs were going on when you first voted as a teen?
Ooh, current affairs. You know what? Homelessness.
Okay.
And in Berkeley, we've always been, advocates for the homeless, but homelessness and housing were 2 really big ones that I remember growing up. A big movement from, folks being comfortable in their own homes, but not wanting to build more dense housing or split up those older homes so that more people could live where they work or where they grew up.
Yeah. Awesome. What was your first job as a teenager?
So I worked as a box boy, and what a box boy did at Sweet Dreams in Berkeley on College Avenue is I would show up after school. It was my job to break down all the candy boxes, all the toy boxes that came in through inventory, then go around and empty all the trash cans, and then whatever else help they needed until they closed up. And I was there for probably maybe, I don't know, 2.5 hours every day.
All right. Did you always want to be a fireman when you grew up?
You know what, I did.
All right.
And I wish I could pull the picture out, man, but I've got pictures of me on an Oakland fire engine when I was probably like 3 or 4 years old. I've always been fascinated with that. Yeah.
That's super cool. I'm actually hoping when I turn 18, because I'm 17 right now. I turn 18 in September, but hopefully going to do some ride-alongs with the fire department here in Gilroy.
Because, nice, man. Great guy.
I'm interested in going into the med field, and hopefully when I transfer out to my 4-year to be on-campus paramedic. So that's the plan.
Nice going.
Yeah.
Good job.
Did you have any pets during high school? If so, what was it?
We had dogs.
Okay.
We didn't have cats. We had dogs. I remember having some birds, but that really wasn't that significant. My brothers had ducks, believe it or not. We had a duck pen in the backyard.
All right.
But for me, I grew up with dogs.
All right. Did you live out in the country area?
No, we lived in the foothills of Berkeley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You did mention this earlier, but did you grow up with any siblings?
I did. So I have a lot of siblings actually. I have 2 older sisters, and then I'm right in the middle, and then I have a younger sister, and I have 2 little brothers.
Oh, okay.
So I came from a pretty big family.
And are they here in Gilroy as well, or are they all spread out?
We're all spread out. Some of us are up near Sacramento. Some of us are on the peninsula. Some are still back in Oakland. And one of my brothers is out in Texas.
All right, awesome. What were your hobbies growing up as a teen?
I loved riding my bike.
All right.
For me, it was a BMX bike. It was finding places to ride bikes and go skateboarding. And trading baseball cards. I was a huge baseball card guy. And for me, finding time where I could go hang out with my buddies and we could open up a pack of of cards and be able to trade them. I loved it. And I love playing video games too, man.
Right. Hey, that's actually kind of funny because I didn't throw it up there because I thought it was just my friends being, messing around with me. But his question is, did you play video games? If so, what games did you play?
Dude, okay, so I was late Atari. Okay, so I remember seeing Atari at some of my friends' houses, but for me, the Atari was maybe when I was like 8, 9, like not quite into video games yet, but Nintendo, like the old school Nintendo. I went through every generation of Nintendo, and my wife, she's probably still watching on here right now too. So when me and her were single, or not single, without Avery, and we were living together, even before we were married, I played video games. Hey, look, he's commenting right now.
So do you still play video games right now, or no?
I don't. I don't have the time. I don't have the patience, and sometimes at fire stations, there's, some of the guys have, it set up. I can't wing it. I can hang with my daughter and play some stuff, but I don't really play much anymore.
Who were your favorite music artists growing up as a teen?
I liked the Beastie Boys.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I like the this is how Berkeley was. We were a melting pot. Okay. So I'd go straight from Beastie Boys, and then I could go all the way to the other end of the spectrum and listen to bands like U2 and Bon and chill out with them. I loved that stuff. But I grew up, skateboarding. I was a Beastie Boys guy.
There you go. Okay, awesome. Someone commented, what Tecmo Super Bowl team did you play with?
Oh, I don't know. What's Tecmo?
It's probably a video game or something that
I played Madden NFL. That's why I used to always play all the time.
Oh, okay. What team did you play with there?
I'd probably always be the 49ers. For me, I'm a hometown kid. You know what? Even though I grew up in Berkeley and stuff like that, the Raiders came and went and came and went and came and went. Yeah. It was always San Francisco, so I'd always probably play the. Okay, so he's saying it's a Nintendo.
It's a Nintendo game. Yeah.
Man, I wish I could remember that far back. Although I know I remember one of the biggest ones I remember of Nintendo besides Super Mario and Zelda was playing Duck Hunt.
Oh, okay. You're speaking to someone who has no idea what those games are. So all I know of old school games is Galactica or Galaxy Guardians or something like that.
Yeah.
Something along the lines of that. But yeah. And Pac-Man. Everyone knows Pac-Man. But all right. And last question: what happened to the hair, Zach?
Oh man. Okay. So here's the deal. I still have a full head of hair. If I wanted to grow it out, I could look just like that up there. All right. But when I knew I wanted to get in the fire service, I knew that actually there was a time where I thought I'll be a police officer or I'll be a firefighter. I don't know which one. I had more friends that were firefighters. I had more mentors that were firefighters. So for me, I started working on the ambulance when I was 18 years old, and I'll tell you, when I trying to wake up in the middle of the night on a 24-hour shift with your hair going like this, and trying to show up professionally in front of somebody and say, "Hi, how can I help you?" "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't. let me do my hair." I don't know. I just said, you know what? Let's just be done with it, and I cut it off. I shaved it, and I've shaved it ever since, and nobody knows. Most of the people in my life now, besides my childhood friends, don't know any different.
Well, all right. Well, there's the photo, everyone. That's what Zach looks like with a full head of hair right there. All right, perfect. Well, those are all the questions I have for you. I don't think anyone else has any more. Okay, there's one final question that someone wants to know. Favorite TV show?
My favorite TV show. My favorite TV show. I'm a nut for stuff like Homeland. Homeland on HBO. Okay, so like I love shows like that. So like when 24 was on with Kiefer Sutherland, I was addicted just to like the Homeland Security type shows. I don't know, maybe it's because of the job I'm in. But I'll also go deep. I'll watch Game of Thrones. I'll do all those too.
Okay, perfect. All right, everyone. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining us for our Q&A here. Hopefully, we'll be able to do some more in the future as election comes closer. Just a quick reminder, again, if you want to know how to register or where to register, contact Zach or I, and we can send you a link for that. You can follow Zach at ZachHilton_CA. Right when we're done with this live, you can go to his account and just give him a quick follow. And if you ever, reach out for anything, go ahead and shoot him a quick reach out, and, he'll be able to do that for him. So thank you for being here, Zach. I'm glad we were able to do this and stuff, and so hopefully, like I said, hopefully we'll be able to do stuff in the future.
Nice. And one quick thing before we go. So, speaking of the voting thing, so in order to be registered to vote, that's how you're going to get your ballots are mailed. In the state of California, especially in Santa Clara County, when you register here, they will start getting mailed out the beginning week of October 2nd. Okay? So it's important to be registered early. You can register up to 15 days before the election, and you will get a ballot. You'll get a ballot mailed to you, but it's so important to be on that first round. All right,
perfect.
Thank you, Gannon.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
See you, Zach. We'll see you, everybody.
All right, take care.